What's up, Conroe? Welcome to a brand new edition of Nerd Thug Sports. Hanging out here at 104.5 and 106.1, the sister stations, streaming worldwide at irlonestar.com. We're hanging out here on this coronavirus quarantine pandemic week on this Thursday afternoon. It is I, Corey DLG, and with me as usual via Anchor, little brother Nico.
That is also I.
Yeah, we're just hanging out doing the Nerd Thug thing. How you been, buddy?
I've been all right, having to get my life together again now that fake school has started again.
Yeah, you were explaining this to me, and honestly, this isn't school. This is watching videos.
Yeah, and I already hate online classes as it is.
Yeah, listen, an online class where there's no due dates and they're just like by the end of the semester turn everything in, I'm down with that. Because that is literally saying it's your responsibility to learn. That's what an online class is. But this weird online class where they're like, hey, every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. watch a video or watch my live stream. That's just like forced podcast audience. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, because it's not even like we can ask questions, but there's 12 people in the class, and we're all like, all right, just get it over with.
Right.
We don't want to be there for any longer than we have to.
I bet there are 0 questions.
Oh yeah, my favorite thing is there'll be one person will be like, hey, what's this? And then they're like, oh yeah, no problem. And then we're like, all right, and we're done.
And we're out.
And
yeah, that's the worst. I honestly, kudos to you because I would have contacted the school and been like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. I didn't sign up for this. You're just going to have to go ahead and finish my semester now.
Right. A part of me really just wants to, just give me some whack assignments and then let me be done.
Yeah, I kind of feel you on that. That makes more sense to me than making me watch live stream lectures. No dice. No dice at all. That's terrible. So in the long storied history of my prognostications being completely accurate,
mm-hmm.
Just last week on this very show, we discussed the XFL closing up shop.
Yeah.
And if you remember, I said then that I suspect Vince McMahon is cash poor. Do you know what's happened in the last week?
No.
The WWE has announced numerous layoffs.
Oh, no.
And on top of that, Okay, I'm going to use the word bribed here because I don't see how it's not a bribe. I don't mean to legally imply that the WWE has committed a crime, though. What I am saying is, from the outside looking in, this very obviously seems to be a bribe. They bribed the governor of Florida to be deemed an essential business.
Ah, I see. The WWE, pillar of essential work.
Wrestling is now deemed an essential business in the state of Florida. Literally, he was up there doing his essential business.
WWE, essential business.
He's minding his own business. He's doing this whole governor thing. He's like, oh, and by the way, WWE is essential business, and it comes after over the weekend the WWE pledged $18 million to super PACs in Florida.
Weird. Interesting.
So the timing is brutally obvious. This is a direct quid pro quo.
Yeah, that certainly feels it.
Also, to wrap up a week of absolute criminality, Vince McMahon was then named to be a liaison or the leader of the Donald Trump team to transition America back to work. So he will get in zero trouble for all of this.
Right. Starting with wrestling and then moving to anything else.
Yeah. None of the bribes are going to matter because he literally is at the White House right now working on stuff.
Yeah, getting everyone back together. Starting with wrestling.
He's like, here's how you get people back to work. You bribe the governor. I mean, you make a donation to a super PAC,
I
and then
mean,
that person's business is deemed essential. So everyone needs to just pull $18 million together for their individual industries, and then you're in
right,
in
easy, simple
every
as.
single state.
Look, if that's all it takes.
Yeah. Why haven't we done it sooner? Honestly, this is one of those. Okay, we'll start with the WWE laying people off. I saw it coming. There's just at the end of the day, you're not touring. You don't have road shows. You've got a bunch of extra people on the staff.
Way too much losses.
Yeah, just overhead because the WWE basically has. I'm gonna call them bands here, and what I mean by that is just like full production teams, sound guys, ring builders, ring announcers, organizers, the whole team of people who get a Raw or SmackDown ready week in and week out on the road, city to city on a tour.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got two full bands going year round. Well, now you don't. Now everyone is in Florida just waiting for something to happen. So producers, managers, all kinds of like behind the scenes people were laid off, as well as tons of talent as well. Various WWE
1099s.
Yeah, they're 1099s. So it's not really a layoff for them so much as they were just told that, like, hey, listen, you're done, son. You're done.
I've been there.
Yeah, we have been there. And so, yeah, like I told you, it's a cash flow thing. If every week you have two different shows in two different cities selling, I mean, somewhere between 40 and 80,000 tickets a week each show, plus T-shirts, plus vending, plus all the other cash stuff that happens at those events, the meet and greets and whatever else happens behind the scenes. You're talking about
tons of money,
just tons of money. I mean, just 50,000 people at $30 a pop is $1.5 million.
Yeah, and you do one every week or two every week.
Yeah, you're doing 2 weeks, so that's $3 million in cash. You're out.
Outside of everything else.
Yeah, forget T-shirts, forget everything else. The TV deals are going on, but I don't know what kind of revenue that's generating. That might be the only thing that's like static is the TV money. But those payments are probably quarterly, and there's probably performance things tied into it. And even if there's not, I'm sure the TV stations are going, "Hey, man, we might be canceling this contract at our opt out." You know what I mean? Like, you've been filming at the Performance Center for the last 2 months.
Yeah, it's not exciting when the huge major part of wrestling is the fans and nobody's there.
Not a soul in the stands. At least All Elite Wrestling puts their other wrestlers in the stands.
It's just weird.
Right.
It's just weird.
So we're going to circle back now to the idea of just bribing your way into it. So the WWE is just bleeding money. They're struggling. The XFL was just canceled. Like, literally, Vince McMahon is trying to figure out what he can do to get this going again. And so he bribes his way into an essential business.
Yeah, you can't have a complete shutdown. That would be ridiculous.
And literally, he's being just crucified for it. The Florida governor is getting just destroyed, demolished online for essentially taking a bribe.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Outside of the fact that clearly it's a direct bribe, we're also in such trying and hard times. People are dying across the country to a pandemic, and we're gonna donate $18 million to a super PAC so we can get an essential business for our wrestling.
Right. Not a good look. Not a good look.
Not a good look. Like, even if you were like, oh, I donated $17 million and then $1 million to like medical research or like to a hospital or something.
Right.
Like, save some face. Like, try anything.
Yeah, do something there. Like, don't just. Yeah, I don't. It's not a good look. And overall, the worst part about all of it, to me, the harder part about all of it is just sort of the man. I really think you got it there. You kind of encapsulated it. The tone deafness of it, right? Like, here's $18 million that we don't need as a struggling company, but we're going to give it to a super PAC for politics in November.
Right.
Like, if you really have $18 million you don't need right now, there's probably a lot more people who need it, even wrestlers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the people you laid off would have really liked that money.
Well, and let's flip it to the other side. In Japan, where wrestling is also huge, here's what they did. New Japan led the charge with all the other organizations. They all went as a unified front to the government of Japan, and they asked to be protected from the pandemic, and they asked for like furloughed pay leave type thing, sort of like the 1099 stuff that we're doing here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the guy who wrote the article points out that New Japan is cash flush. They just signed a new TV deal, blah, blah, blah. So while this does help them a little bit, really what New Japan just did was went in and asked the government to save all the little wrestling organizations.
Yeah, so they could not belly up in this trying time.
Right. Because there's like, in the picture, there's like 12 of them all in suits and masks going up there. And face masks, not like luchador masks.
That'd be funny, though.
It would be hilarious. But yeah, and that's the idea is that New Japan was like, they created like a unified Japanese front for the wrestling so that everyone was protected. And that's sort of what, I mean, that's what leadership looks like, honestly. But meanwhile, over here, the WWE is bribing their way to safety.
Yeah, here it just looks infinitely worse.
What
Like,
is
you
it?
couldn't go, like, you couldn't go halvesies. You couldn't go like, here's $9 million. Like, why was it 18?
18 is so freaking much, man. 18 is an insane amount of money.
Like, 18? Really? Like, you needed that much? Apparently, the governorship in Florida is very expensive.
I guess so. Or they're expecting more than likely what it is they're expecting a hard, expensive campaign / legal battle this election.
Which is, like, not where you want to be when people are dying.
Right. When your focus is like, well, we definitely can't lose this state. What? What? Like, right now, that's what you're thinking about?
Like, people are dying. Maybe not in the streets, but, like, people are dying.
Pretty close. The other day, I saw a nice uplifting story before we get out of here. It was a homeless guy, and apparently a manager of a 3-star hotel went ahead and just gave him a room because they're just sitting empty right now.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, yeah, considering who's gonna go to a hotel.
Yeah. Not a lot of people are like, you know what I need to be doing right now? Traveling. That's what I need to be doing.
I don't know. Some people do be like that, though.
Listen, you know me. I love a good hotel room.
I mean, yeah, this is true, and you can get flights for like $20.
So really, what we're saying is I should be traveling. Is what
exactly. Yeah. No. Totally.
This is really my fault. Like I'm
right. Yeah. Look, we can record over the internet now. It doesn't matter where you are.
That's it. You've convinced me. I'm touring the world. Jumping on a flying carpet, and I'm gonna go see the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Sure.
I mean, right now is your cheapest time to get a flying carpet. It's only like $50.
Frankly, like flying carpets are like, whoa, hey man, like we don't want to get out there either. There's a lot of bleach going around. It's not a safe time to be a carpet.
People are scared. No one really wants to do anything.
All right. All right, we're going to jump out to a break. When we come back, we got more Nerd Thug Sports coming your way. This is Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio. I'm going to tell you guys about my friends, The Adventure Begins, comics, games, and more. Located right there on 1488 in Conroe. Right now, they're not open, but the Facebook page is active. They are still working every day to keep their inventory going. They're building a website. They're working on some events behind the scenes that they can hopefully still put together. Even maybe some internet-based things that they're working on. But they want to stay connected with the community. They want to stay connected with you guys. And they want to keep serving the community in any way they can during these trying times. So reach out to facebook.com/ I believe it's The Adventure Begins. If not, just check the search bar. The Adventure Begins, comics, games, and more. We often link to them so you can see them on our page. Just reach out, and if you can support them at all, go ahead and do so as everybody kind of goes through this great pandemic opportunity. Thanks, and be safe, guys. Hey, Conroe, this is Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio, hanging out here, just enjoying my quarantine time at home, and I hope everyone else is doing the same, social distancing and minding their manners and listening to the orders while we get all this health crisis straightened out and get this pandemic under control. I hope everyone's doing their part to flatten the curve, but doing their part also means supporting small businesses. Local businesses here in Conroe, restaurants, things of that nature that have been able to stay open, they require the support of their community. So takeout is a good option to do. So reach out to those places, order some takeout food if you can afford it and if it's reasonable. I'm not asking anyone to risk their health, but the community has always relied on itself to support itself. And this is one of those times where, as Conroe, we can stand up together and take care of small businesses and entrepreneurs who've been taking care of us this whole time, helping Montgomery County grow into one of the fastest growing counties in all of America. Thank you very much, and stay safe, and stay tuned for more Nerd Thug Radio.
This is Rudy Tomjanovich, and welcome to Nerd Thug Radio.
Hey everybody, Nico DLG from Nerd Thug Radio. Just wanted to show off a couple of the interviews we've done in the past, some interesting stuff we have here. And I wanted to shout out, before we get into anything else, our sponsor, Adventure Begins. Now, their web store is now open, so if you want to support our fantastic, wonderful sponsor, pick up your comics or your games from the Adventure Begins online web store. You know, it's all difficult in these times. You know, we have this pandemic going on, but you can still get your nerd on, get your stuff from Adventure Begins. They're a fantastic store. Unfortunately, they're closed currently, but their web store is open. Check their Facebook page for updates, and things will be updated as they go.
You have Ball Control, and with me as always is little brother Nico, and we're here at RNA Sports, hanging out with Rudy T like we've been bragging all month. So right here, Mr. Tomjanovich, thank you for coming today. Did they just call you Coach? Was I super formal there? Did I blow it?
No, that was good. I answered to just about anything, you know, and it's good to be back in Texas and to be back in this area. I actually had a lake house up here on Lake Conroe, and it brought back great memories just driving down 105.
Nice. So where do you stay now then? I didn't realize you didn't live in the Houston area.
No, I had been out in California for 15 years.
Okay.
And worked for the Lakers in that time, and decided I'm reaching another plateau in my life. It starts with a 7 and a 0, and I thought I should start this chapter back here, you know, bring it back here. I've got grandchildren. My son has just had a baby a half a year ago. He's actually Rudolph Price Tomjanovich the fourth.
Oh, nice.
And my son's is named Trey, so his nickname might be Quattro.
I have a buddy I also call Quattro
Yeah.
for the same reason.
And then I have a couple grandsons in Houston, out in Katy. That's Ford and Cooper. And then hopefully my daughter, who's living in L.A., will follow me and come back here. And she has a daughter named Marty. So being a grandpa is not as bad as I thought it would be. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, my sister's made some babies, and now my mom's super granny, and she's buying all kinds of. She She was never going to be the grandma, and now she's like, they can call me Mimo. And you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, what's up?
Yeah,
about?
they're still looking for a name for me, so we'll find out.
There you go. Papaw T. I'm going to throw
Yeah.
it in the ring. That's my moniker there. All right, so obviously you came back to the place where you got to be considered royalty, right? 2 championships back to back. What's like the best memory from that run specifically?
Well, the first championship, just being a Houstonian, it was so big to get because I came in, and went through the Astros with Nolan Ryan, and then of course the football with Earl Campbell and Pastorini and Kenny Burrows and all those guys, and people came close, but never getting it done. And then to be a part of that team that did it was just so special. And then the next year, when we had some hardships, but we didn't fall apart, and we went from the 6th spot, which I don't know if anybody will ever do that again.
All the way. No, that's a pretty. Now it's even harder with the teams like Golden State and
Yes.
Toronto this year. I don't
Yeah.
think 1 seeds are too good now. I don't think. Who was the 1 seed? Was that?
I can't even remember who was at that time, but they were all good. I know no one has had to go through teams that had won more games than we had played that year. And San Antonio, a team who owned us during the regular season, we beat them in 6 games, which was a heck of a accomplishment.
Yeah.
And just having an opportunity to have those kind of players on a team and get it done. It's so, I always have a saying, it's hard to win one game. When you have to win a game, it's really hard to win one game. And to have gone through all those do or die games, I think we had 9
Elimination games, right?
Elimination
Yeah.
games in 2 years, and to win them all just says a lot about the character of those guys.
Absolutely. And that team really tried to stay together for a long time as well. Those guys seemed really kind of close. When we were talking to Haywood Jeffries recently, he was with the Oilers, and he mentioned how that locker room was like super unique. And you're kind of known as a player's coach yourself. What was that kind of the case with y'all's locker room as well?
Well, of course, whenever you're together with guys and you go through hardship, it bonds you. And that's the kind of stuff. You go through it once and you just feel this together. Hey, we did that together. We did it so many times, so you can imagine. And what's so cool about sports, but I think basketball, as much as any other sport, it brings people from all different backgrounds, nationalities, colors,
Probably
religions.
The
Just
Spurs teams always seem to be super international. Argentina, Spain, and
absolutely.
French. And,
We had the amigo, we had an African, and it's just amazing how it works, and it's really like that all around the world. I did scouting, and looking at the international teams, they'd have the majority of their team would be players from that country, but they might have a couple Americans and a couple other foreign players. And I just think sports is a wonderful way of getting people together.
I definitely agree that basketball is kind of the international, because soccer hasn't really taken here. We grew up soccer. We're De La Guardias, obviously, so soccer was my dad was obsessed with soccer. So we know that's kind of but internationally that's huge, and then here it doesn't take, but basketball kind of is number 2 in a lot of those places. Speaking internationally, you have a gold medal also?
Yes.
So you just back-to-back champion, gold medal. Is there any, I know.
Yep.
What else? Did you win, like, high school student of the year, too?
That was close. What people have to understand about the Olympics is it's such an honor to be selected when you think your whole country and you're the guys who are picked to go and represent it, and then the pressure is so amazing. You just cannot believe it, and so when I was coaching in 2000, the NBA players in the Olympics had not lost a game. And we're playing against Lithuania, and they have a 1-point lead with a minute to go, and we foul a three-point shooter who's a great three-point shooter. And as he's at the line, my life is passing before my brain, and I'm thinking that at my eulogy, at my
They'll go silver medal with the loss of Lithuania.
and people coming up to talk. Well, he was a good friend, wonderful father, but the dummy lost, and we wound up winning that game. And I'm so proud to say that our guys dove on the floor. The guy who had fouled the three-point shooter was Antonio McDyess, and he got the basket that put us ahead. And I mean, it was so physical. I think there were 4 guys on the floor, and he winds up putting it in.
Is McDyess with the Pistons? He wound up winning the championship. Is that same Antonio McDyess?
I don't know if they won the championship with him, but he's the Antonio McDyess. Yeah.
Okay. Who all was on that? It was the 2000 team, right?
2000 in Sydney.
Okay. That was yeah.
Then the next year, they lost a lot of games, and
you weren't there. We don't have to.
Yeah.
we won't put that one on you.
Yeah.
So you also like your first was about 23 years with the Rockets between playing and scouting and coaching.
33.
33. Short of you a decade.
Yeah.
You get to 70, you don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wonderful. That the one thing you can say about sports is that you're not going to settle in one place, and most people don't. But I had that opportunity to stay with one team all that time, and then the coach the team afterwards. It's just amazing.
That was a comment he made, actually. We spoke to someone who played all their football in Texas, and he was like, that's got to be really impressive. And you were with one city for almost your entire career. How many years did you coach the Lakers?
Just a half a year. I left the job here because I got cancer, and went into treatment and had to go through 2 cycles of that, which is no fun. And they pronounced me clear, and I was out scouting, and the Lakers approached me, and that sounded really good, but I should have probably waited and got acclimated, but I threw myself right back in there. And when I was in it, we were doing pretty good. We had a winning record, but I started feeling all the stress and thinking that maybe I made a mistake. And I went to the owner and said, it's probably not the right thing for me. And they were great about it. And they kept me on for 14 years working, behind the scenes. And
I didn't realize that.
And it was quietly kept, and I got to help them with reports. And
so you're the guy who told him LeBron James was probably a good sign?
They wouldn't listen to me on that. But, what was great about it, my son and I got to work together for 14 years.
That's awesome.
And he's a computer guy, and I had always wanted to know the true numbers, the analytics on some basketball plays and all that, and we did it. And it was a lot of fun. And the crazy thing is we didn't even have to be in the same city, because we had the computer and all that. But it was really interesting because, a lot of people would say I was just a gut feeling guy, and I went with my gut most of the time. And that is true, but I always wanted to know, is this the percentage thing to do?
Is this the smarter play?
Exactly.
Is there a smarter play?
Yeah.
Well, that's always a good coach, right? You don't want to just hear one voice. You want to try.
You want to use all the nuggets you can put in the basket.
Yeah. And speaking of nuggets, we're gonna get some nuggets in our basket here when we get out to a break. When we come back, we got more ball control. Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio. Going to tell you guys about my friends, The Adventure Begins, comics, games, and more. Located right there on 1488 in Conroe. Right now, they're not open, but the Facebook page is active. They are still working every day to keep their inventory going. They're building a website. They're working on some events behind the scenes that they can hopefully still put together. Even maybe some internet-based things that they're working on. But they want to stay connected with the community. They want to stay connected with you guys. And they want to keep serving the community in any way they can during these trying times. So reach out to facebook.com/ I believe it's The Adventure Begins. If not, just check the search bar. The Adventure Begins, comics, games, and more. We often link to them so you can see them on our page. Just reach out, and if you can support them at all, go ahead and do so as everybody kind of goes through this great pandemic opportunity. Thanks, and be safe, guys. Hey, Conroe, this is Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio, hanging out here, just enjoying my quarantine time at home, and I hope everyone else is doing the same, social distancing and minding their manners and listening to the orders while we get all this health crisis straightened out and get this pandemic under control. I hope everyone's doing their part to flatten the curve, but doing their part also means supporting small businesses. Local businesses here in Conroe, restaurants, things of that nature that have been able to stay open, they require the support of their community. So takeout is a good option to do. So reach out to those places, order some takeout food if you can afford it and if it's reasonable. I'm not asking anyone to risk their health, but the community has always relied on itself to support itself. And this is one of those times where, as Conroe, we can stand up together and take care of small businesses and entrepreneurs who've been taking care of us this whole time, helping Montgomery County grow into one of the fastest growing counties in all of America. Thank you very much, and stay safe, and stay tuned for more Nerd Thug Radio.
Hi, this is Kevin Smith, former Dallas Cowboy, Texas A&M Aggie as well, and I want to say what's up to Nerd Thug Radio.
Welcome back to Ball Control. This is Corey DLG, and with me as always is little brother Nico.
Hey, hey.
And right here, this is going to be an interview with Kevin Smith, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys. And this was at RNA Sports on Black Friday. And big shout out and thank you to RNA Sports for having us there and having those guys there. So anyway, Kevin Smith at RNA Sports with Ball Control. All right, Conroe, this is Corey DLG with little brother Nico, and we are right here in Conroe hanging out with our sponsors, RNA Sports. And we got some special guests here today, so you're going to be hearing right now from Kevin Smith of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas A&M history. A legend, right?
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, I'm allowed to say that, right?
Yeah, well, you can say that.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, I'll say it then.
Yeah.
I mean, because, all right, so I'll be honest.
There's a few plaques on the wall.
There should be. There should be
Right.
more than a few. I had to
Right.
do some research here because I wasn't a Dallas Cowboy fan growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So Rich's like, man, I got a Dallas Cowboy coming. I was like, wow.
Right.
I mean, but then I looked. Your rookie year, you win the Super Bowl.
Right.
So basically, you're done, right?
Well,
Did you have to talk yourself out of retiring after the rookie
it
year?
was
or
so
were you-
easy. It was so easy. I actually came in with Darren Woodson. We were in the same draft. Jimmy Smith, who played for Jacksonville later on in his career.
I remember Jimmy, yeah.
Yeah, we were in the same draft. And so the first 2 years, we win the Super Bowl. We actually go to the third year. We go to one or two plays away from actually going to the third Super Bowl. You know, Deion grabs Mike, and, you know, that's still a debatable, arguable call.
But he came over and he made it up to you guys, right?
Well, he did next year, yeah. And Jerry made sure that, but we paid him pretty well. But,
That's right.
you know, we just thought it was just, you know, we were supposed to go to the Super Bowl every year. And we didn't realize how hard it was and how tough. You know, we were like the tail end of the Herschel Walker trade. So
Right.
the Herschel Walker trade is what really changed the Dallas
that was
Cowboys.
going to be my next question. Were
Well,
you one of the
unheard.
Herschel Walker draft picks or no?
Actually, I was. You know, that 90, actually the 93 class with Kevin Williams and my mind went blank, but Smith, linebacker that we brought in from Miami, Darren Smith.
There you go.
Those two guys were the last two guys of that trade, but you know, the trade. Alvin Harper was in that trade. Russell Maryland.
And Emmett, right?
Emmett was the first part of that trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Larry Brown was in that trade. Of course, Darren Woodson, we mentioned him.
God,
a
you
few
just
other
want to
guys.
brag? Like every time you just talk about, like,
Well,
you
we
guys
had so
ran,
much.
yeah.
We had first round. We had 2 first, 2 second, 2 third, 2 fourth. I mean, so what Jimmy was doing, he was picking the guy he wanted. Then he could take. See, Darren Woodson really was a tweener guy. A lot of people don't know that. He wasn't a safety in college, and he wasn't a linebacker. He was kind of caught in between. So the Cowboys picked Jimmy Smith because they wanted to get a receiver, you know, in the slot, you
Right.
know, and replace Kelvin Martin. And we got Jimmy Smith. Well, the pick after that, who they picked? They picked the guy that they could take a gamble on. Which
because they had the excess
They had
picks.
extra picks. It
That's
was
a really good way to
you
put
got
that.
Darren Woodson. So here now you got a Pro Bowl guy with a pick that you didn't really know what he was until you got him in training.
That's called playing with house money,
You
Nico.
play with
That's
house
what that's
money.
called.
That's what it was, man. Yeah.
That's really incredible because you're right. I didn't realize, and that's a really good way to frame that. So
Mm-hmm.
when you get this riches of picks out of the trade, you can then go, okay, well, I'm picking twice in the first round.
Right.
So let me get the guy I know I
Boy,
need.
they drafted me. Then they came back and got a linebacker in Robert Jones. That was 2 in the first. Second round was Jimmy Smith and Darren Woodson. Then we went third round. We got a big lineman named James Brown. Guess what? He didn't make it with the Cowboys, but he played 12 years in the league.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, we got a guy named Ron Stone out of that draft as well. So a lot of guys that never really played for the Cowboys, but they were quality players because they were drafted so high.
That's so interesting. But you guys had so many good players at that point. I can almost conceivably see where you're saying, well, this guy can't crack it.
Right.
He's gone.
Well, we only keep 53 guys. So,
Yeah.
but from the first guy to the bottom of the roster, that's how good we were.
Y'all
the
were
backups
stacked.
pretty good. Yeah.
That it reminds me of that Pittsburgh era in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then how many of those guys wound up in the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
and circles of honor
Yeah, a
and
lot
all
of
that
them.
stuff?
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah.
Okay, so then do you call Rob when he does bad on TV?
No, not at all. I mean, these those guys, they work at it hard. I tell
They
you
do.
what's interesting is Darren, even Michael, they'll call from time to time when they're trying to create some ideas and some thoughts. And Darren just called me a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got to compare, Zeke and Amari Cooper and Dak to the Cowboys of the
triplets,
90s,
yeah,
triplets." He said,
yeah.
how can I? And I said, listen, just go back to the 90s music, the music we listened to, Whoop, There It Is.
There
and then
it is.
Take each one of those songs and apply that to one of the players. And then, because that kind of, everybody remembers the 90s Cowboys. Remember those
Yes.
songs, Whoop, There It Is, the Tootsie Roll, and then, I Want to Be a Cowboy. Those were the songs that played in our pregame warm-up. And I said, just attach. And he said the problem was that when he tried to do it with ESPN, they
They didn't want to pay for the
they
music.
didn't want to pay for the music. He said they had to get the rights to the music. So he said it was a great idea, but he couldn't use it. So, yeah.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea. Though.
Yeah.
that's a real good thing you could do production wise.
Well,
That's
he
smart.
didn't say they didn't want to pay for it. He said that they had to gain the rights to the music.
Don't worry, I'm not going to tell on you. They didn't want to pay for it. They didn't want to pay for it. I'm
That's
not going to
maybe
tell
what
on you.
happened, yeah.
So one last kind of real football question. You were there during a major coaching change.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones then moves on. Oh man, Campo? Am I blanking on the name? Is that right?
Barry Switzer came
Switzer
in.
and
Yeah.
then Campo. That's
No,
right.
no, actually it was Switzer, then it was Changeli, then Campo.
I forgot about Changeli
Yeah,
completely.
Changeli came in for about
Oh,
3
man.
years, yeah.
That is, you're right about that.
Yeah.
So what was that like going to Switzer? Because Switzer was coming from Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, well, Switzer was pretty much retired, So it wasn't a big. I mean, I knew Coach Switzer because he recruited me heavily out of Orange, Texas, to
You want to
Oklahoma.
give him a shout out? Go ahead, do
Yeah,
it.
well, West Orange Stark wins again. We're the most winningest program in the state of Texas. Believe it or not.
Let me tell the listeners real quick.
82%.
He came in whooping, just whooping, and
Yeah.
just talking about it. He said, guys, we're unbeatable. And I was like, what are we
Well, they've lost a few games this year, but overall, West Orange is one of the top programs in the state.
There you go.
Over
See?
the years, yeah,
You gotta
over
whoop it up.
40-year school history, yeah,
Really?
1978, yeah.
See, I came from Spring High, and we don't win that like that.
That's
We don't-
yeah, Spring's pretty
we
good.
were
though.
all right. Karras had a pretty good run.
Okay, yeah.
But that was about it for us. So the changeover to Switzer.
Well, he was. I knew Switzer. He came in. The coaching staff was still intact. So Campo was there. Joe Avisano, who was a key guy, our special team guy. The strength coach was there. Mike Warsick. Butch Davis was still there. I mean, so all the guys that was part of Jimmy's staff. I think they brought in maybe one or two guys. I mean, I think Hudson Hawk came in, the offensive line coach. But Barry didn't do anything. I mean, I didn't say he didn't do anything. He didn't. When I say he
Headlines.
didn't do anything, he
No, I'm
didn't
just
do
kidding.
anything to rock the boat. So
Right.
he just came in. And, as a head coach, you got to be that PR guy. And Barry's one of the best PR guys.
No,
in the
he was
world.
smooth. He was
Yeah.
real smooth because
So,
that was dicey taking a Super
That-
Bowl winner and replacing him so quickly. Now, let me ask you this because you kind of mentioned the staff there. Is that really more of a relevant thing for you as a position player? Because your meetings, you don't. I mean, how much does the head coach sit in on a corners meeting?
The only time, Jimmy would sit in on our special team meetings. He was more involved than most coaches I've been involved with. But I mean, unless if you were doing everything right and everything was going well, you didn't have to worry about the big dog.
That's
the
probably the
meeting
right
room.
way to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Barry didn't. I mean, he really allowed the coaches to coach. Chan Gailey was more of an offensive coach, so he spent a lot of time and he kind of didn't really mess with the defense. And sometimes when you have a coach that he's focused so much on the offense that he doesn't focus on the whole team concept. And you make decisions, good and bad, based on.
No, that's fair. I think that's absolutely fair.
Yeah, and then Campo was my last year there, and I didn't really get to play under Campo as a head coach, but of course Campo was my defensive back coach and coordinator
Right.
all those years. And at that time, Troy was done, so they was trying to replace him with Quincy Carter. So it was kind of unfair to Campo because he didn't have a solid quarterback.
Those were some up-down years.
Yeah,
Those were some up-down years.
But each coach is different,
Right.
and each team is different, and it relies on what kind of veteran leadership you have. I mean, if your veteran leadership is old,
Yeah.
then and a lot of people don't understand the Cowboys are turning a new leaf from the Romo era and the Dez era.
No, I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
I really do.
And they've gotten younger.
I think that's a big reason for all the changes they've gone through. Is they're going.
And this may not be the year from them. And
No, I don't think it is.
But 2 or 3 years down the line, they got plenty of cap space. I think they're going to sign Dak at a team-friendly deal.
I think so. I was making the joke, and it might be a little unfair because as a Cowboy yourself, I was like, how does Troy Aikman call a Dak Prescott game? Like, he's got to be thinking like, I could do that. Like,
well, I don't know. I think Troy. I mean, a lot of people kind of knock Troy. I think he does a great
no,
job.
Troy was great, but like
Yeah.
watching Dak play, and now he's got to talk. He's got to kind of sing praises now of Dak because they're selling TV. That's what announcers
Well, I
do.
mean, I think Dak is playing well. I think they're allowing him to be. He's still not. I don't think he's going to ever be a Tom Brady
No, yeah.
or Drew Brees.
Who would you, as favorable as you want to be, how would you kind of give him a comparison to?
I think at best he can be a Donovan McNabb.
Okay,
Yeah,
I mean, I think
mean-
he'd kill for that career.
I mean, just the fact that he's not going to be the traditional stick in the pocket.
No, he won't
you
be.
got to let him move. You got to let him run.
And he's built well
Yeah.
to be a mobile guy.
Right. His best throws. I mean, his best throws yesterday was back leg, running sideways,
Right.
going sideways.
And his best plays were on his
flipping.
feet too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
I
agree
mean,
with
that's
that.
what you're going to get out of him. You're not going to get Drew Brees in the pocket.
So do you think that they should maybe
Tom
do more of
Brady.
the RPO stuff
but they
and
got
things
to.
like that?
That's what they're doing.
They're doing a lot of it right now,
they're
and
doing
I
it,
think
yeah.
that's the change that they needed to make.
Right.
Because I think even in college, he was definitely more of a dual threat than he was just a
In Mississippi
traditional.
State, when they won the game, they won gritty games, and he was all over the field.
I loved seeing him at Mississippi
Yeah.
State because there was that hero ball almost
Right.
like he
Yes,
was.
they were the underdog. I mean,
They
Mississippi
were.
State pretty much. They playing Alabama underdog.
They were.
Auburn underdog. Yes.
But he had a really great college career. So when they got him, I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. I was curious. Remember Tim Tebow built very
Right.
similar, but they immediately scouts were like, well, he'd be a better tight end and quarterback
Right.
kind of situation. And maybe it's not fair to compare the throwing motions, but
Right.
it is sort of
And
the
I
same.
think that was a big.
I think it
probably
was
the
a big deal,
difference, yeah.
right? What do you think of that? The fact that Tim Tebow, then comfortably now is like, oh, I'll just play baseball. Then do you think he should have just said I'll be a tight end and just?
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know Tim Tebow, but he's a winner. I do know that much.
Yeah.
He's a guy that has a great personality. Because SEC Network loves him. From my understanding, the organization, baseball organization he's with, loves him. And every time he's a positive guy. I mean,
He really
there's
is.
nothing negative you
You
can
ever?
say about
I see
Tim
him on
Tebow.
First Take, and he's giving
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith compliments. That's a
Yeah.
hard thing to do.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, so it's nothing real negative you can say about Tim Tebow as a quarterback, though. I don't think,
Right.
with the throwing motion, just accuracy, he was never going to be the quarterback. That,
No, and I agree with
yeah.
that. I just thought it was kind of interesting that he said instead of moving to tight end and staying in football, that he was like,
Right.
I'll just do a whole other sport.
Right. And in his mind, he was a quarterback in mind. And at tight end, he may have, went through a couple more training camps, been on the practice squad.
Nothing he would have
he
enjoyed,
could do,
though.
I mean, he could do more on the SEC Network than he's been doing out there on the
That's true.
practice squad.
And
yeah.
it is intriguing that basically ESPN's basically given the open offer where, like,
Right.
whenever you're
I mean,
done, come
he
on
could have
back.
a 30-year career with ESPN.
Oh,
he had
for
never
sure.
played 30 years playing tight end. Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Well,
Yeah.
Kevin, I want to let you get your money and all that. You have a
Okay.
good day, man. Thank you for coming on here
Okay.
on Ball Control with us.
Okay.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Like, it's cool. So, how did your career when you were done? How do you want people to mention you and talk about you?
I don't know, man. I played the game hard. I mean, good thing about it was I played high school ball here in Texas, played college ball here in Texas, pro ball. So I was always a Texan, and it's to my heart. And
You call him Bob McNair then?
Bob McNair? Is he?
You looking for a job? You looking
No,
for
no,
a DV
not,
coach?
Not like mine. But Texans are okay. They should be okay.
They're
yeah.
having a good year this year.
Yeah,
They are.
they're
I'm
doing good.
happy
They turned it
about that.
around. Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, I'm a Texan at heart. I'm an Aggie at heart, and I'm a Cowboy at heart, and I love my hometown. So I'm just a Texan. That's what you're gonna remember me as. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
3 Super Bowl time champion,
Yeah.
Kevin
Two state
Smith.
championships. Yeah,
Listen
man.
to you. Sing it all.
High
What else
school
you
Hall
got?
of Fame.
You got an
High
MVP somewhere?
No MVP.
Okay,
High school Texas Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Where's that at?
That's in Waco.
Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, was
see,
able
there's
to
something
get
else
in
to see in Waco
Yeah, I
there.
need to get in the College Hall of Fame, then I'd be pretty happy.
Who do you want me to call? I'll make some phone
Make
calls.
some
for
calls,
you. I'll
man.
make some
Yeah,
calls,
I don't
man.
know,
We'll rattle
I don't
some
know exactly
cages.
where it is, but I mean,
don't-
it's somewhere on the East Coast. So
Is it?
We got to figure
All
it
right,
out.
we'll figure-
I think it's Pennsylvania somewhere.
You stay with Rich, and I'll get back in touch with you. I'll let you know who I've
Okay.
tracked down
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. Nominate me in there.
We'll write you in, man.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Kevin, thank
All
you
right,
very
brother.
much,
Thank
man.
you.
You have a good one.
Okay.
All right, so that was the interview there. What'd you think of that, Nico?
It was pretty good. It was exciting. Just good to see.
Yeah, we had a good time out there.
Texan at heart.
Texan at heart, that's true. We had a really good time with Kevin Smith, and obviously shout out to RNA Sports. We're going to jump out to a break, and when we come back, we got another interview with Haywood Jeffries, and then we got more ball control coming at you. This is Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio. I'm going to tell you guys about my friends, The Adventure Begins, Comics, Games, and More. Located right there on 1488 in Conroe. Right now, they're not open, but the Facebook page is active. They are still working every day to keep their inventory going. They're building a website. They're working on some events behind the scenes that they can hopefully still put together, even maybe some internet-based things that they're working on. But they want to stay connected with the community. They want to stay connected with you guys. And they want to keep serving the community in any way they can during these trying times. So reach out to facebook.com/ I believe it's The Adventure Begins. If not, just check the search bar. The Adventure Begins, Comics, Games, and More. We often link to them so you can see them on our page. Just reach out, and if you can support them at all, go ahead and do so as everybody kind of goes through this great pandemic opportunity. Thanks, and be safe, guys. Hey, Conroe, this is Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio, hanging out here, just enjoying my quarantine time at home, and I hope everyone else is doing the same, social distancing and minding their manners and listening to the orders while we get all this health crisis straightened out and get this pandemic under control. I hope everyone's doing their part to flatten the curve, but doing their part also means supporting small businesses. Local businesses here in Conroe, restaurants, things of that nature that have been able to stay open, they require the support of their community. So takeout is a good option to do. So reach out to those places, order some takeout food if you can afford it and if it's reasonable. I'm not asking anyone to risk their health, but the community has always relied on itself to support itself. And this is one of those times where, as Conroe, we can stand up together and take care of small businesses and entrepreneurs who have been taking care of us this whole time, helping Montgomery County grow into one of the fastest growing counties in all of America. Thank you very much, and stay safe, and stay tuned for more Nerd Thug Radio.
Hey, Haywood Jeffries, former Houston Oilers wide receiver on Nerd Thug Radio.